Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream all of my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together here live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so this is a follow-up video from last night where we paired the shittest cheapest processor on the Aussie market right now, which you can pick up for either 59 or 69 Australian dollars. I can't remember which one it was. It's pretty cheap, put it that way. This is the Celeron G5905 2-core 2-thread CPU, 3.5 gigahertz. And so what we did was we got this and we paired it with an RTX 3060 graphics card, and it took a long time to get everything installed, put it that way. But we got there, and I've got some games installed, I've got benchmarks installed, so I thought we'd have a look and see just how much performance you could still get out of this 3060 when pairing it with a really cheap processor. So let's get right into it. So I'm just going to touch the power on pins with my screwdriver. So I think this board's got a bad battery because it seems like it is rebooting from a clear CMOS state now. That's why it turned itself off and turned itself back on. Usually we'll get a notice if that happens. No? Okay. Make a liar out of me. No, that is a thing that happens. If your computer consistently does that, it might be evidence that the battery is flat or faulty, and you just have to replace that battery. Alrighty. So now we're into the desktop. As you can see, it booted up relatively fine. This is perfect CPU if you just need it for desktop use, going on the internet and all that kind of stuff. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a computer or a CPU if you just want to do basic things. So this CPU is fine for just desktop use and stuff like that. It's not recommended for anything else, but I thought we might get started by probably the most embarrassing test that we can do with this. And oh, there's an app that I didn't install. That's okay, we'll get it now. Just Cinebench. So I made a video a little while ago showing you Cinebench get carved up by a 5950X. So this is like the complete opposite of that. So there won't be any issues with like the internet speed here or anything like that. Things will still download fine on it. It's just this. That's it. 2 threads. 2 cores, 2 threads. That's all it does. Alright. Now let's see just how much video editing performance you can get out of this 2-core 2-thread CPU. Oh, the odd number squares are ahead. So yeah, as you can see, 2 cores, 2 threads, not going too well here. So we're almost coming up to a minute now, and in a minute a 3950X can do this render twice. So gives you an idea of performance. So not a real strong performer there. But the thing that might surprise a lot of people is that for gaming, you don't necessarily need a very strong CPU to do some stuff. So let's run Heaven now. I'm going to turn the anti-aliasing just onto 2, but I'm going to have the quality on ultra, tessellation on extreme. We're going to run it at full screen at system resolution here, which will be 1080p. So let's run Heaven and see how well this goes. This will probably gives us a good taste of what to expect when we run some actual gaming benchmarks. I haven't run these gaming benchmarks, so we'll see how far we get in some of them, because we've got some pretty demanding games for it. So as you can see here, what's Christine pointing at? Oh, yeah, I'm not even concerned about running the actual benchmark, because we can see the frames per second right here. That's the frames per second counter. And what we're looking for here, just so you know, what is a CPU bottleneck? Okay, so CPU bottleneck is where, see, we've got this one here. It says CPU over here, and it's got the CPU temperature here. It's got the CPU usage here, and it's this usage figure that you want to pay attention to when, like, understanding whether you have a CPU bottleneck or not. So a CPU bottleneck occurs when the CPU's at or near 100% and the graphics card is well below 100%. That means that the graphics card can't actually put out any, like, work any harder, because the CPU can't keep up with it. That's a CPU bottleneck. Ideally, we want to see the CPU at less than 100% and the graphics card always hovering around 100%. And so as we can see here, we're not seeing a great amount of CPU bottlenecking here running Heaven. And as you can see, we've got decent frame rate here. It's running okay. It's not running as well as it would run with a different CPU in it, but still giving you a pretty good experience. And that's all because of the 3060 here. The 3060 is doing most of the work when running this simulation, so that's the main thing we want to see. So we're gonna look at some other benchmarks. That's why I'm not actually running the actual benchmark here. We're just having a look and seeing how the benchmark runs by just looking at the frames per second. So we're going to switch over to another DirectX 11 benchmark. This one's called Valley. And so with this, we're going to explore what a CPU bottleneck looks like. I'm going to try to G these settings up to demonstrate what that's like. Okay, quality low, anti-aliasing off. Okay, so this should show us a bit of CPU bottlenecking, but it'll still run. The benchmark's going to run well, but we should be in a situation where the CPU is being maxed out and the graphics card's not being maxed out as much. Yeah, there we go. As you can see there's a great disparity between the graphics card usage at the top here and the CPU. The CPU's getting up quite high, but the graphics card's staying at that moderate level. And the reason why this is happening is because we're running it on low. And so at low, it's capable of rendering more frames per second, but the CPU is not capable of processing much more than that. So if we quit out of this now, I'll show you the difference. 5,000 frames a second. We'll put everything. We'll put things on high. Yeah, it's nice.
Makes me want to go camping.
So as we can see here, it's running. I would say this is probably a better result for this CPU because we're not trying to push it with really high frames per second here. We've turned up the quality and we're seeing less bottlenecking occurring running this with settings like this.
It's a bit jittery.
Yeah, and that's the CPU. So that's what you're paying. That's the trade-off with getting a cheaper CPU. You can have more little stutters and stuff like this. If we had a 2-core 4-thread or a 4-core 4-thread or even better a 4-core 8-thread, it would run a lot smoother. But this is still running pretty good. I would not consider. This does not look like what the sort of frames per second that one would expect running this budget Celeron CPU. This is like counterintuitive for a lot of people. It's not. If you're pretty familiar with computer game graphics and how all that works and how CPU and graphics card bottlenecking works, then what I'm showing you here is probably not that surprising. You're like, yeah, everyone knows that it's all about graphics card performance and stuff. And I know that. And I'm making this video for everyone else because I get so many questions every day from people about games and how they run, and I get people who I give them an option of what to buy, and I'll suggest a CPU, and it falls in line with their budget. And then for preconceived ideas that are in their head, they decide that no, I need a better CPU, and the other one is they need a bigger power supply as well. And it's like I've actually calculated your power consumption out, and I've chosen a good power supply that meets your budget and is efficient. And now you're telling me that you need something else because you arbitrarily think that you need this much power. So that's what leads me to make videos like this, sort of explaining things a little bit better. And so as you can see, in certain scenes here we were seeing cases where the graphics card was dropping down and the CPU was dropping up, so we can see a bit of that inconsistency and stuff scene by scene here. And that just goes to show how different games and different scenes will have different effects and different demands on the CPU and graphics card. But we can move on from this, and now what we can do is we can put it to a bit of a more serious test before we move on to some games.
There's a really high-pitched sound that comes from it every time you like close something. Is it like the CPU making like?
Yeah, it's just it's electrical noise. So we're gonna run superposition. But what we're going to do with this is we're going to test its 4K ability. So DirectX, that's fine. We won't worry about OpenGL. Alrighty, so as we can see here, running at 4K, we're not seeing too much in the way of a CPU bottleneck. CPU is definitely being utilized here, but it's not bottlenecking our graphics card. Our graphics card's hitting the ceiling when there's still a bit of processing power left on the table there. So as you can see, if you were just doing 4K gaming, the demands between 1080 low settings gaming and 4K gaming, it's just totally different kind of workloads. One's more graphics card, one's more CPU. All depends with how you want to play. So I wouldn't recommend anyone actually buy this CPU and pair it with a 30 series graphics card. Just for the record, this is more just to show everyone that even something like an i3 or a Ryzen 3 can still give you really good gaming performance in 2021. Especially if you're not expecting 200 plus frames a second and all this kind of thing, then you really should spend less on your CPU and more on your graphics card. Get the best graphics card you can for your buck. All CPUs these days go pretty well for doing normal things. Hell, this is running fine with a Celeron in it. We just got a good graphics card to go with it, and you know, I'd be pretty happy with 50 frames a second at 4K. I mean, you know, this graphics card here is like 870 bucks. Let's call this one 70 bucks. That's 940 bucks. Get a motherboard with Wi-Fi on it, like a decent one, for 200 bucks. So what's that? 1140. Power supply. 60 bucks. 1200 for RAM. Another 100, 1300. Yes, 70 bucks for a 500 gigabyte SSD, and 50 bucks for a case. What's that? 1350 or 1450 or something. I should be able to add that up in my head. It's just that I was thinking while I was doing it, I've kind of lost track of where I was. So there, as you can see, not really too much of an issue there running that. So now let's move on and let's have a look at some games. So yeah, I was thinking that, but I was thinking maybe I'd do Fortnite first, considering just how popular Fortnite is with people in general.
Is there any Fortniters watching?
Oh, maybe there is, or maybe there isn't.
Maybe they're all playing Fortnite.
They're probably playing Fortnite right now, but the language in this video might get them interested. Okay. So we are into Fortnite. Can someone who plays Fortnite explain to me what the fuck this pancake motherfucker is?
I didn't even notice that. Maybe he's like the hamburger guy in Family Guy, you know? It's like giant cheeseburger head.
Oh, giant, yeah, President Cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Is that joke in bad taste? Who cares? He's a cheeseburger. Alrighty, so we're into Fortnite now, so we'll just go into creative mode so we're not disruptive. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I should probably, before we start looking at numbers, let's see what the settings are at. Let's put some stuff on. Let's just go to, hang on, why can't I set? Yeah, I'm trying to, why can't I go to the quality presets? There we go. That makes my life a lot easier. Okay, so we're in DirectX 11 and we're running Epic preset. There's nothing else on that we don't want. So I want to turn DLSS on. Everything else is okay. We can go apply and test. Alrighty. So this is on ultra settings. As we can see here, we've got a huge CPU bottleneck. Can you see?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Sorry, go down.
Oh.
Oh, it's stalled. Oh no.
Have we crashed?
Yeah.
No, we survived. Alright. So as you can see, if you're a Fortnite player, this is not recommended.
Put it on like low settings and see what it's like.
This is probably going to be worse. Yeah. Because this is the thing, the quality settings, right? The quality settings are fucking they're based on the graphics card, not the CPU. And because we're sitting there, the CPU's just tanked. It's not even spiking up and down. It's just completely tanked. So as you can see here, with a first-person shooter game like Fortnite, it is much more CPU bound. So it's not saying that you need the most intensive CPU ever to get a decent Fortnite experience, because you don't. A Ryzen 3 or an i3 paired with this would be a totally different experience for you. But that pretty much sums up Fortnite, really. Like I don't have to play around with settings for half an hour to show you how it runs. Back to,
Get out of this game now.
yeah.
Go into GTA.
I was going to go to the other end of the spectrum and run Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because that's a much more graphically intensive game. But do we meet the CPU requirements for Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
It's like, nah.
Sometimes if you try to run a game and your CPU's not up to it, there'll be a warning message that comes up first, telling you that basically your CPU's probably going to crash.
She gonna die.
Alright. Let's have a go at Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Just give it a moment. I guarantee it's trying. It's trying. Nah, it won't be that bad. It'll get there.
Are you sure?
No.
I don't think she's gonna open. I don't think it's gonna open. It's too much for her.
Just give it a minute.
It's already had a minute.
I know it's had a minute, but... There we go. Just had to give it a flick. No, not really. Not really.
I know.
Not really. No, like I said, just... You gotta be patient with it. See, this is the thing though. What it's doing now is it's taking the game files from the SSD, processing it, and it's storing it on the memory, the RAM. And once it's in the RAM, then it can be accessed at really high speed. It's not going to be not going to take this long to read it.
So
but
it's kind of like your grandma sorting stuff out.
Yeah, because you got to think it's loading stuff to RAM and it's loading stuff to the VRAM on the graphics card. But it will take its time to process everything and load everything up. So you're just gonna have to be a little bit patient with it. And like I said, this is why I said I do not recommend you actually pairing these two things together. This is just a bit of fun on a Saturday night.
I've got nothing else.
I'm trying to do like fun things like this as well. It's not just all building PCs and fixing PCs. We can have a bit of fun as well. Alrighty.
Actually, game.
Okay. Why is okay, so why is RTX not, no, it shouldn't affect that. Interesting. Anyway, we'll run the benchmarks as we see them here. No. Too large a file size.
I didn't think I was going to like that game as much as I do.
Red Dead. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's actually a lot of depth to the storyline, which is kind of surprising for what it is anyway.
It'll get there. Oh, still lighting. Still waiting. And so we're even we're CPU bottlenecked here. Yep. And so as you can see here, very clear CPU bottlenecking again.
Kind of makes me want to put the 3060 in mine and see how it goes with the 5950.
Oh, there won't be any CPU bottlenecking.
So jittery. I could not play this game like this. There was just no way.
Maybe what I should do is plug the graphics card into the test bench, which has got a Ryzen 3 3300X, to show the difference.
I think you should.
Look at that! Look at that! The CPU just cannot keep up with the amount that the graphics card's trying to render in. It's playing catch up big time. Oh, look at that! Looks like there's a cave. Look, there's like a cave above the village.
That's kind of cool.
That's awesome. I love that. Why isn't that there normally? Oh God! Oh! 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 Oh no! Oh no! Oh!
Oh, that's terrible. It's poo.
Oh God! Look at that hair. I'm watching it on a 4K screen in 1080, so it looks even worse to me.
Kind of sorry we put you through that now.
No, this is fun. This is fun. Alright. We are 0% GPU pound. So, this graph here is like the opposite of what you want. You want this green line to be down here. And you want the orange line to be up here. That's the way it should be. But it's actually reversed. Except for this point. I don't know what's happening around there. Anyway.
Well, what else are you gonna do to it?
Another disaster. Oh. What is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my God. I'm not even going to bother with CSGO. It's just another huge bottleneck. Once again, GTA. We're not going to have a good time in GTA. But it's probably surprised you that it's managed to do as well as it has.
If you're only playing, like, you know, games like, you know, Fall Guys, would the CPU be fine for that?
Oh, Fall Guys, yeah.
That can run on a potato.
Yeah, Fall Guys will run on a potato. So yeah, you can totally run Fall Guys and like various other games like that, you know, but not like AAA titles.
How would Sims go on this?
Okay. It'd run.
Yeah, I was playing Sims on a laptop that would run The Sims. Section's pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah, it is. Very quiet.
People are doing stuff.
Yeah, it's Saturday night.
That's alright.
Other people do stuff. I just fuck
Other
her.
people have lives.
Yeah, I don't have a life.
We do computer stuff. That's our life. There's like no sound coming from these games.
I am not sure. Well, at least that loaded up fine. Actually, let's have a quick look at what graphics there are. Oh. Okay. Alrighty. It is loading though, but it will be. Oh no.
Oh. That was really bad. Oh, this is just no.
This is great fun. I'm loving this. I love doing fucking crazy shit like this. It's good fun.
I
Hope people get a laugh out of this.
Are enjoying this. 'Cause, yeah.
It's not running too bad. It's better than you'd expect. We got a comment there.
Bradley says I'm late, but I'm here. Hey Bradley.
Hey Bradley, good to have you with us. We're just having a laugh here with a Celeron and a 3060 together. We're gonna swap over. We're gonna put it with a proper budget CPU to show you how it should be.
Oh, this is my favorite bit of this benchmark, and it's like.
So we could make this run a bit smoother on VSync.
Bradley says, oh, nice.
Yeah, if we put this on VSync and limited it to like 30 frames a second, you'd get a decent experience. It wouldn't be all jittery like this.
Yeah, this is just poo. It's hurting my eyes.
Yeah, so I'll show you. So I'm sure a lot of people see all these, don't know really what any of them do. And a lot of people very confused about graphics settings and stuff like that, and they hit me up, they're like, oh, this game's running and my frames per second's low, and my eyes glaze over because I don't know, I don't even know where to begin half the time, because there's a lot of different graphics settings and I don't know what the person's changed. I normally say revert everything to defaults and stuff like that, and then go from there, because yeah, there's too many different things and people don't fully understand what different things do.
I was about to say this looks like GTA, and it's like,
Yep,
I
yep.
am for sure.
Yeah, we just looked at GTA, but we're gonna change a few things here. Yeah, so we're going to run VSync at half refresh rate. Refresh rate's going to be 60 Hertz, so that means VSync's going to keep us at 30 frames a second. Okay, so we'll apply the changes. And we'll run the benchmark tests. As you can see there, just under RAM, you can see the frames are there. They're locked at 30 frames a second here. And so with this CPU, this is the kind of thing you'd want to do when you're gaming with it, to stop it from doing like what we saw in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where like some parts of it hadn't even loaded properly before the scene began.
Oh, GTA was doing it at the start too.
Yeah. So we should see an improvement. There we go.
Yeah.
So now you can see that
now you
it's
can
running.
actually play that game.
This is a playable experience now. Oh, it's still CPU bound. Yeah,
So you can play that.
but it's a playable experience now. And the CPU's not sitting at pegged at 100% all the time, so it means it's got a bit of room.
Bradley says I'll eventually get GTA 5 on PC. You have to do it. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely, man. There's a whole...
Once our internet is finally set up and on, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel your pain. We had to wait a while to get our internet connected when we first moved to this place.
Not too long.
Not too, but it was long enough.
Yeah. So as you can see here, at 30 frames a second, you've got quite a playable experience. But then the point is, if you're only talking about 30 frames a second, you don't need this graphics card.
Oh dear. Bradley says it's been almost a month.
Oh no. Yeah, it's painful, eh? Internet should just be always on everywhere. Everyone should have access.
These days, internet is almost a human right in a way. Like, we should all have access to the internet.
Is. I'm just waiting for the UN to like declare it as a human right. It'll happen one day at some stage.
We all use it in some shape or form for work or studying or like, you know.
So with this, you'd have quite a playable experience here. So, you know, you'd be able to get, if you did have this CPU, this might be a good way for you to get yourself the PC that you want, and save a bit of money for now on the CPU. And then when you've got a bit more money, you can buy the CPU that you want. One thing about this benchmark, every time you go through it, this scene here is a little bit different.
Something a little bit different. I was just going to say that.
There's a randomization. I don't know whether there's just like a set like 30 different things, or whether there's like a randomization algorithm that it runs through.
Bradley says nowadays internet is better affordable rather than previous years. Yes, it is. It's so much cheaper than what it was when I was a kid.
Yep. Alright, so the last one we're going to look at, or is it going to just automatically relaunch? Let's close out of that. Alright, so the last one we're going to look at is Universe Sandbox. If you haven't seen Universe Sandbox, you might enjoy this one.
Bradley wants to know how much would it cost to get a better CPU for my RX 5080, 580 rather.
RX 580. Well, what CPU have you currently got with it?
I like Universe Sandbox. It's probably one of my favorite games.
Will it? It's mainly the graphics card in this.
Yes.
It does all the calculations and stuff like that, I believe.
3300.
3300. I mean, that's a pretty good. That's a decent CPU. Have you overclocked it? Because I can get some pretty good single-threaded performance out of a 3300. Oh, I don't want this like trial thing. How do I exit? Ah, here we go.
Bradley says but have no idea who's doing overclock.
Okay, so I'll have to do a video on Ryzen Master in particular and how to use it and Intel Extreme Tuning Utility and all that, but there is an app called Ryzen Master that you can download, and that has, you can manually tune an overclock in a simplified way, and you can also put in like an auto overclock through that, which will automatically tune it all for you. So you can do that, and then you can see how your game performance is, because the thing is, if we update from a 3300, I mean, in terms of gaming performance, an overclocked 3300 can pretty much match the same sort of gaming performance that you'd get on like a 3600. In terms of the single core performance and stuff like that, you can get roughly the same out of both of them. The only upgrade would really be a Ryzen 5000 series in terms of something that was a meaningful upgrade, not like, oh yeah, I upgraded to this new CPU and now I get like $300 on a new CPU for. So it's like, you got to weigh that up. So my advice to you would be, first, make sure you've got that Ryzen 3300 overclocked, because there's a decent amount of headroom on that CPU. I always joke and say that the Ryzen 3100 and the 3300 are the budget CPUs that forgot that they were budget CPUs, basically.
Doesn't know how to do overclocks.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I will do a video on that. I've been real slack. I wanted to start doing it this week, but for the YouTube channel,
Tim's been like Grandpa Tim and been having naps during the day last few days.
yeah, well, like after 3 months working essentially 2 full-time jobs, now I've finally resigned one of them, and now I'm just doing this full-time. I'm like, I wake up and I start doing things, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, so fucking tired. And I'm just like, I need to go back to bed. I need to lie down. If not, I'm not going to be productive. I'm just going to sit here really tired, staring at the screen and all that. So I think I'm just catching up on a few months of being real rough. But yeah, we're going to do short videos for the YouTube channel. It's important to have them as well. So obviously we'll still do our live streams and stuff like that, but obviously like more short videos that just show you how to do things.
Bradley says, okay, so maybe a Ryzen 5 if I can't overclock.
Yeah, no, so I wouldn't. Ryzen 5, but only like a 5000 series, so like the 5600X. That would be a meaningful upgrade. Like I said, I'd be downloading the app called Ryzen Master. You can get it from AMD's website. Just Google Ryzen Master. Do that and hit the auto overclock button and apply that, and then go and run your games and see if you notice an improvement with that. If you see a little bit of an improvement but you wanted something a bit more, then we can probably get it tuned to run even harder with a manual overclock. And I'll yeah, like I said, I'll do a video on how to do that. I'm pretty sure I have done a video where I've covered it really simple while I was doing something else, but I couldn't tell you what live stream video that was, so I'll do another one.
Bradley says, yeah, for sure. I'll have to wait until the internet is on first. No worries.
Okay, so this is Universe Sandbox if you haven't seen it before.
It's so much fun.
So what we can do with, we can pretty much create whatever sort of simulation we want. So we can do something like, we can do an Earth with multiple moons orbiting it.
Oh, jeez.
And they're smacking into each other now. So there's going to be debris.
Oh,
They're probably going to hit the Earth and like wipe us out. Whoa.
It could turn into like a ring.
Possibly.
Nothing's hit Earth yet that I can see. Oh, now there's dark cloud around us. We're gonna die.
Let's make it a bit faster. This is orbital dynamics. Just really, really, really fast. So let's speed it up significantly.
Can you make Earth like a little bit bigger? So things like, you know, start smacking it.
Yeah, so we're just letting it run a few years. So so far it's been running for basically 10 months. You can see the amount of months it's been running down here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, just gone over again.
Okay. So we can pause it. And we can go and do something with this. So let's, how about we change its mass? Let's make it the same size as Earth. Let's watch these two bodies destroy each other.
Oh, fuck. Oh, look. It looks like an eye.
Sauron's eye. Alright.
Bloody hell.
So Earth's kind of fucked. But what if we made Earth a bit bigger?
Oh no. Now we're a star? No? What's that?
No, we are like probably a brown dwarf. So currently, Earth is 15.7 times the mass of Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
So we could make Earth a little bit bigger. It's now 30 masses of Jupiter. It's actually compressing on itself and becoming more dense. Make it a bit bigger now, so now it's starting to glow in the infrared. It's now 62 times the size of Jupiter. If we make it a bit bigger again, it is now 0.12 masses of the Sun. But let's make it a bit bigger than the Sun.
Oh, jeez. Well, look at the trajectory of some of the planets and they go.
Yep. As we can see, this object has some pretty interesting properties. But that's nothing.
now?
Now it's a Nova Remnant, I would say.
Yeah. Bloody hell. No more solar system. Everything's gone.
Supernova.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one simulation there. So what else is there like? This is a Oumuamua, the interstellar object that flew through our solar system. So this
that big giant.
Yeah, that big long cigar-looking thing.
Some scientist thinks it's an alien spaceship of sorts. No, sorry, it's a big giant rock that happens to look a little bit weird.
So have you ever wondered what Jupiter would look like if it was a sun, and what it would do to our solar system?
After watching Star Wars, I've always wanted two suns.
So Jupiter is now the mass of the sun. Saturn has now completely Is Saturn gone now? I think Saturn's gone. Whoa. Jupiter has got Venus and the Sun has Mercury, and everything else is in crazy unstable orbits. I think Earth has left it's on an escape trajectory. Most of the other planets and objects are on escape trajectories. But what if we made Neptune a bit bigger? What if we made it really big? No, really big.
Jupiter size Mercury?
No. Oh no. This is Neptune, but it's 200 times the size of the Sun.
Oh dear.
It's now 500 times the size of the Sun. There's the Sun. See you later, Sun.
And the rest of the fucking solar system looks like.
The Sun is out of here.
So is Mercury, Neptune. Oh, there goes Jupiter. It's gone. Saturn's coming in. What's going on?
Neptune is now a black hole.
Bloody hell. Let's strobing a bit.
Anyway, that's Universe Sandbox.
As you can see, Tim can spend a lot of time in this game.
Yeah, just
But
destroying
it's so much
stuff.
fun though.
Alrighty, why don't we, what's the time? No, I'm pretty tired actually. I'm pretty tired. So we might actually leave it there for tonight. I don't think there's any point testing the other games because I think what we've seen so far gives you a pretty good rundown. So some games would be okay to play like this, but certainly not recommended. I'd much prefer you to have an i3 or a Ryzen 3 over this, pairing it with this graphics card. So anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next video.